There is
You talked about.
an Outkick article about the fake baseball player.
I love
Just
Outkick, frankly. I
so
love that outlet. You talked about the acronym changing weekly, and here it is changing again. CBC News for Kids, that it would be the State Broadcasters Kids Channel, decided,
dark
yeah,
stuff. This is
decided that they need a child actor to explain the acronym to them. It's like 7 minutes long. We won't play it all.
7 minutes. There's 7 minutes of this.
Yeah, this is the
That's
shorter one.
crazy. Okay, get Jim Jordan out of there. Pretending he's gonna do something. I like Jim Jordan. I shouldn't bash him, but it's like they all pretend they're gonna do something. And
This is Kane explains.
Sorry, I had it on the wrong tab.
2S LGBTQIPAA+.
I'm sorry. Just
of all, you may see
I just want to hear
different
say it
versions
one more
of this
time. I'm
term.
sorry. They really
Yeah.
want us to take this seriously. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm paying full attention now. I just want to take it from the top.
Have you seen this term? 2S
No, I haven't.
LGBTQIPAA+. You know what each letter means? Don't worry.
Was that a fart noise? That sounded awfully fart noise-esque.
We'll break it down for you.
Thank you.
This is Kane explains 2S LGBTQIPAA+. First of all, you may see different versions of this term. It all depends on who's using it and why. It's called an initialism. Heard of an acronym?
I was about to say no, it's not. It's called an acronym, but okay, we can. We've already changed language so much. Why don't we just make up something else?
Abbreviations that create new words, like how as soon as possible turns into ASAP, or how the U.S. National Aeronautics and Space Administration turns into NASA. For an initialism, instead, we pronounce each letter separately. So we wouldn't pronounce this. You know what I mean.
That's not true, Eric. We don't call FBI Fibby. We did as a kid as a joke.
Like a Dewey. You know what a Dewey is?
The Dewey Decimal System?
No, like DUI.
Oh, no.
I've never gotten one, quite obviously, but I knew
got
a
a
couple.
DWI.
No, I've never. But I knew a couple of people way back in college, young kids who were doing this stuff, and we used to call it a Dewey. Which I guess in California it's a DUI, other places it's a DWI. Neither here nor there. Yeah. This is absolute insanity, though.
OKWME provides support and education on 2S LGBTQI.
I don't want to
the 2S can appear on different spots in the initialism, but
the 2S is often put at the
Now, this girl's so creepy. First of all, where I would have had a Linkin Park poster and a Blink-182 poster, this woman just has stuff about her sexuality. It's so weird, Eric. I have multiple posters and stuff all over my office and my room about what I'm attracted to. And watch her whole, you notice how everybody, all these people who are into this stuff emote like they're on TikToks. I've done it before.
Dude,
they all act like this. Look how she acts.
The front of the initialism in Turtle Island and across Canada and North America, in kind of acknowledging that two-spirited folks were the first queer people on this land.
It's because they're acting. It's all fake.
A woman.
So they were the first people on this land is the reason they give. So
did you also hear they're changing the definition of lesbian? Did you hear that one?
Yes, that is at Johns Hopkins University.
Okay.
Yeah, that's basically, I'm sure they'll correct that once enough people complain. Hopefully. So the whole thing's very creepy, obviously, and I'll get to who this child actor is because that's weird too. But at one point, she's just like, you might be wondering what a queer is, and queer covers like everything. So you might say that it could identify as any number of items on this list. So yeah, so why do you need all this stuff? Why would you include a term in a list of terms that means all the terms? That's like saying ketchup, mustard, barbecue sauce, and condiment. That's not 4 categories of something. They're all one of the same one of the condiments. Like, just language is just being slaughtered and they don't even care.
Yeah, well, but also it's very everybody can point this out that when you have the B's and the T's can't really coexist, right? I mean, the B's make it clear that there is only 2, but then the T's want you to believe that they can switch back and forth, but then there's also an in between, there's also a nothing. None of it makes sense, but it's not supposed to. It's just supposed to confuse you and drive people crazy. And it's very clear now that, look, I don't know what we can and can't say, but it's a war. They know people don't want this. They can look every video I watch out of the human rights campaign or the ACLU. They're constantly saying things like this, all these anti-LGBT whatever bills they're piling up. There's hundreds of them. Yeah, because nobody wants it. It's you and a couple people on Twitter that want to make this happen, and you just keep forcing it when you could just start a subreddit and talk to your weirdo friends on the internet, but you want to force everybody to do it. And like I said last week, it's over. We're not doing it anymore. Cry about it. I don't care. It's done, bro. Put a fork in them. We're moving on. Give us the old climate change hoax. Now we got the boxes hoax, as Trump would call it, which maybe we'll get to at a later date.
Well, Sweden stopped doing hormones for kids. England just stopped it, and leftists love to look to Europe for their cues on things, especially with healthcare. Why can't we be more like Denmark and pay 60% taxes? They're not going to look for it for this. So,
which is like, they're not going to look for it for this, which is kind of like, do you remember when they finally let go of the mask hysteria, and then people were they were always follow the science. You're not a doctor until they said, okay, you don't have to do it anymore, and they're like, this isn't safe. So they'll pick and choose when they want to follow.
So this little girl goes on to say, reminder, gender refers to how a person feels inside, and they can express their gender different ways, and sex is not the same thing, which of course is a lie. She's been lied to. And then she says that you can use they them pronouns. Now there's two people they reference. That crazy looking woman's name is
Aaron.
It's right here, Aaron Houston. She works for a organization that's funded by both the government and by private agencies. A bank gave it funding, a couple of cities gives it funding, and she says, the kid asks, like, what if you can't remember the whole thing? And then so they asked this woman, she says, as long as it starts with LGBT, that's fine. Then they asked this super creepy guy from the University of Saskatchewan. He's a assistant professor of the history of gender and sexuality.
Completely made up empty suit job.
Yeah. And if he said, if you're in a formal conversation, if you're writing a paper, I would try to go for the full. But in regular conversation, I think that many people are also fine with a shorter version. Oh, thank you, sir.
So what he's saying is he
gives you permission.
When you're writing a paper, make sure that the person attempting to indoctrinate you knows that you've fully received the message. So if it's casual, if it's just with your friends, you can just say TGB, right, whatever. But when you're talking to me, I need to know that you have fully received this download. So memorize it.
So this little girl, whose last name is Vahedi Yusufi, she came to
practice that. You practice that while you
because I read out my articles out loud, Eric, so I don't make any mistakes.
AI will do that for you soon.
Shut up, man. If I'm out of a job, you're out of a job. So she came to Canada from Iran with her family in 2015. She's in 8th grade, by the way. So what's that, 13 maximum or 14?
14 maximum, right? Yeah, maximum.
So she came here in 2015, which is 8 years ago. So when she was like 5 or 6, then she began working for CBC in Quebec, speaking in Persian 3 years later. So when she was like 8 years old, the state had her speaking for them. And now she's been upgraded to English language CBC in 8th grade. And they're using an 8th grader to propagandize other children. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that they want a girl who's not from here to try to indoctrinate the other children who are not from here originally, or their families are not from here, because their families have traditional values.
Turn it up, Jordan.